Well, my name is Andrej Vlahcevic, and I'm with the product team here at Anthem and the Medicare organization. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the 2021 supplemental benefits that we'll be rolling out and see if hopefully we can get your questions answered up front and help you in your process to go sell going forward. The first thing I would like to do before we get started is do some level setting with some key terminology, just so that I don't go off talking about some things and lose people here. But as I said, we're going to be talking about our supplemental benefits, and as most of you know, there are two kinds of supplemental benefits out in the market today. We've got your mandatory supplementals, which are MSB, and your optional supplementals, which are OSBs. The biggest difference between those two is your mandatory supplementals are included in the plan itself as part of the plan for whatever premium is required, and your optional supplemental benefits are additional benefits that members can purchase if they so choose, but they need to pay additional premium for it. Now, beyond that, I need to give you a little bit more about the MSBs that we roll out. We have really two kinds. The standard kind is what we call embedded, and these are things such as your dental, your vision, and your hearing that most everybody is pretty familiar with. But we also offer our essential extras or everyday extras, depending upon what market that we're in, that this is a mandatory supplemental benefit, but this is where we give the member an opportunity to tailor their plan to exactly their needs. And in 2021, we will be giving them an opportunity to pick one of 9 options to select a benefit that is best suited for their particular needs. The other thing is that we've put a lot of our energy in the last few years in taking advantage of CMS's expanded scope of health-related benefits called social determinants of health. And this is where we have benefits that take into account social factors, physical factors, health services, biology and genetics, or even individual behaviors of members and their impact on a member's overall health. This is different from some of the more traditional ones, which are really focused on more traditional medical impacts on members' health. The expansion of these benefits in 2019 originally was a new frontier that CMS opened, and Anthem truly took advantage of it, introducing essential extras originally in 2019. And we've continued to go ahead and expand upon those benefits as we've gone forward. But CMS has also given us new opportunity, and with that, also some new guidelines that we have to continue to manage under. And one of those is they've given us the opportunity to go kind of a little more wild, but they've also made sure that anything that we're doing, we can tie back to a chronic condition that the member has. And in this case, they're called special supplemental benefits for the chronically ill, or SSBCI. And as I get later in this presentation and talk to you specifically about some of the benefits that we have available, some of them may only be available to a member if they meet the conditions outlined by CMS as having a chronic illness. And those conditions are listed here. They have one or more comorbid and medically complex chronic conditions. They have a high risk of hospitalization or other adverse outcomes, and their care requires intensive coordination. So when we get into this later and we talk about benefits being available or requiring a SSBCI pre-certification, this is what we're talking about. So the next thing I want to talk about are some key changes that we're going to be doing for 2021. So the first of those is that alternative medicine as one of our benefits in essential extras is going to be discontinued at the end of this calendar year. Now, we know this has been a popular benefit amongst our members. However, there has always been some challenge getting enough providers in the network to really make sure that we had the robust options available to our members. But also, just this year, Medicare started covering acupuncture, especially for lower back pain, which is one of the most common conditions that people go in and request acupuncture for. So it sort of negated the whole need for this, and therefore we made the difficult decision that we will be discontinuing it. Now, for those of you who have members who selected this benefit, We will be reaching out to them in probably, I believe it's late September, right about the times that they receive their ANOC, to let them know about this specifically and give them the opportunity to select a new benefit for 2021. Another major change that you're going to see for 2021 is a change in the vendors that we use in a number of our markets for non-emergent medical transportation. So this benefit, the transportation benefit, is a very popular one with members, but it's always been very difficult to make sure we're getting the service that we want from these vendors. So there have been some shifts in the vendor landscape here, and you'll have to look by market. In most cases, we'll be using a vendor called Access to Care, or A2C, but please go ahead and get specific information on the vendors in your market that we'll be using. The third change I want to address is that we will be renaming some of the benefits that we'll be implementing in all of our markets. And this is because when we first started doing SDOH benefits, our group CareMore, which is predominantly out in our West region, had implemented some parallel benefits to what we've been doing, but they named them differently. So we've done a lot of work to standardize both the design of the benefits and the naming, and you're going to see some of the same benefits with some new names, and I'll cover that in a following slide here in just a minute. Next change is to let you know that our over-the-counter benefit has been insourced. We've been using a vendor. We'll continue to use the same vendor to support that benefit, but we've decided to improve service to our members to actually bring the call center in-house. So we began that transition actually this past May, and it was finished in this just this July. So that has been, we've had an opportunity to get folks' teeth cut well in advance of AEP, when we expect a lot of phone calls from our members around either finishing off benefits for Q4 or with questions about getting their new benefits set up starting in Q1. So those are some of the key changes that we'll be implementing around our supplemental benefits. Let me kind of dive into a couple of these a little bit further. So first, let's take a look at the benefit renaming. The benefit renaming, as you can see, is listed here. Some of this may not seem like a change. It may not actually be a change for you, but in other markets it might be. So for example, adult day center and day center visits were essentially the same benefit in different markets, and we have now standardized on one name for all that benefit called adult day center. Healthy food deliveries, which was one of our essential extra benefits, has now been named Healthy Meals. And then some of our standard benefits for post-discharge meals or chronic meals have all been renamed as well. So now as you can see, we've created a pattern here. So we have Healthy Meals post-discharge or Healthy Meals chronic condition. So anything where we have a prepared meal that we're offering to our members as part of a benefit, we've tagged with this Healthy Meals name. The Healthy Nutrition benefit, which is part of our Essential Extras benefit, also known as Prescribed Nutrition in some of our other markets, that has been renamed to Healthy Pantry. We've also, by the way, made a slight change to that benefit, where previously we were offering up to eight telephonic counseling sessions, nutritional counseling sessions to go along with that benefit. And now we've basically changed that description to give them monthly telephonic nutritional benefits for the members. And then finally, for the personal care services that we offer in a number of markets that went under 3 different names in the past, and we've all standardized those to Personal Home Helper in all of our markets going forward. So just know when you start hearing some of these names that are a little different, they may be tied to the exact same benefit as you had previously. So kind of going back just to make sure that nobody's concerned that we're getting rid of any of our oldies but goodies in the MSB category. And also just to talk about the various vendors that we actually do use for these benefits across the country. You do need to check and find out which we're using in your specific market. For your OSBs or your optional supplemental benefits, there have been no changes for 2021. This, of course, is on top of whatever they might have as their MSB. So if a member chooses to buy up for this and pay the premium, that's what they would be getting for this. Also important to note that if they do purchase this benefit, there will be no utilization management on the dental, regardless who their vendor is. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and jump into a little bit more about some of our benefits. The first that I would like to talk about is Medicare Community Resource Support, or MCRS for short. You will actually find this as a benefit in many of our plans, but it is a program that we will use for any member in any of our plans that we have. And basically, to me, this is a fantastic service that Anthem does, where we actually have a group of social workers who work an outbound call center. And if a member is having an issue, a problem, something that goes beyond what their healthcare plan can help them with, this group of social workers is got a database full of programs, state programs, local programs, community programs, church programs, all across the country. And they work with our members to try to help them connect to one of these programs for help in almost any area. It might be they need education. It might be loneliness. It might be car repair. It might be housing related. It might be that they need a wheelchair ramp or service or maintenance in their home. Whatever it might be, this group will work and try to help connect them with a program that could offer them some assistance. Now, it is not a huge group. This is not an inbound call center. You can't just call them. So the way this is set up is it's a referral in program, and then the program will the social workers will do outreach. My suggestion to you is, if you find a member who you think could have benefit from help from this program, either ask them to call member services, or you can contact agent services and they can refer the information into the MCRS team for you. So a fantastic program. A couple of the examples that I like to always tell, and I probably repeated this story more times than I can count, but I love them, is one time that we had a member who needed a wheelchair ramp built for their home. We connected the member to a church organization that built that ramp even before they got home from the hospital. So by the time they got home, they could start to work on getting their house adapted to their new environment of having a wheelchair. And the funniest story that I like to tell is, we had a member who ran out of their transportation benefit. You know, the transportation benefit only has so many rides, and they ran out of their transportation benefit, and they were calling and asking if they could get more because they needed to go to their doctor's appointments. And in doing so, the member services rep discovered that the member's car had broken down and she just couldn't afford to get it fixed. So we referred her into MCRS, and they actually found a local school that needed cars that required service to teach budding mechanics, people who were learning how to be mechanics, a trade school, to fix the car. And they were basically able to fix the car for, I believe, just the cost of parts and a nominal fee. So this 80-year-old woman is back on the road driving to her doctor's appointments and doesn't need her transportation benefit anymore, and everybody was happy. So a great program, something we want to continue to do for our members. So just please be aware that it's out there in case you ever come across a member who needs help in this area. The other thing, before I get into a little bit more about the essential extras or everyday extras benefits that I'm going to review here, just kind of give you some stats on the program itself. So we, on the left-hand side of the screen, I just thought we might find it interesting, just, based upon what members select. The number one leader is transportation, with basically, if you look at those last two rows, over 20% of our members have selected additional transportation benefit. But what's really exciting is to see the health and fitness tracker benefit. We've had 18.7% of our members select that benefit, and that benefit was just introduced in 2020. So that has been definitely the number one benefit in 2020, but across the history of the plan, transportation is still number one. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of go through a question that's come up a number of times, and I think might help you in helping to manage the expectation of your members is when a member has essential extras and they make a selection, what happens? So I want to walk you through the process so that you can help your members understand what to expect and the timing of some of each of these steps so they know when they can start to access their benefits. So first of all, let's talk about the selection itself. The selection itself, they can make their selection if they're a new member on an application as they're applying. So there will be a box on the application for them to select their interested benefit, and there'll be some other information that's requested as well. We also have a dedicated form that can be faxed in at any time to member services to get the member's selection. That form is available through Custom Point, so that can be obtained by you at any point. And of course, the member can just call member services and make their selection as well. Shortly, I understand the selection process will be available through the member portal, but I don't know if that's going to be available before 1/1 yet or not, but just to be aware that is potentially coming. Now, it's important to point out that members aren't required to select any benefit, and they can, when they do select the benefit, they can select it at any time during the calendar year. So if they want to speak with their doctor, get some information first, or if they're under care and they want to speak with their care manager, please encourage them to do so. There really is no rush, and it will not hold up the enrollment process. Okay, that's the most important part. It will not hold up the enrollment process. They can get fully enrolled in the plan and then go ahead and make their selection at any time. For some of the benefits, there is a pre-certification requirement, and this is where we started talking about SSBCI. I'll come back to that. So while the process I'm going to outline here is basically kind of 3 steps, not every member will go through all 3 of those steps. Some may go through 2, or some may go through 3, depending upon which benefit they selected. And the last thing I wanted to let you know is, once they make their selection, they will remain in that selection really until officially until the end of the plan year. But a lot of times we have been reauthorizing anything that required pre-certification automatically. We'll be doing that again for 2021 members. But members are allowed to change their selection during the calendar year. But there is a proviso, and that is that they cannot have utilized their benefit at all. So, for example, if I have selected transportation and I would like to switch to assistive devices, which is another one of the benefits, I can't have started to use any of my transportation rides prior to making my change request. Otherwise, I'll have to wait to the end of the calendar year to go ahead and make my change. Just to clarify, this would be whether or not they've used any of their additional transportation, not their base. They could, if they had 24 base and they chose 60 additional and they realize they're not going to need it, and they want to change, as long as they haven't gone over their 24 base, they'll still be able to make that change. Okay, so members made their selection. Selection's in place for the year unless they request a change. What happens next? So the next thing that's going to happen is probably 3 to 5 business days, I would imagine, after the selection is received, and that the member should get a confirmation letter indicating that we've received their benefit selection. Okay. Now, if the selection that they made does not require any pre-certification, that confirmation letter will give the member instructions on what to do next to begin to access the benefit. If the member's selection does require some form of pre-certification, then we need to basically, the letter will tell them that will confirm that we've received their selection and let them know that their application is now undergoing pre-certification review, and they'll receive a final confirmation. It's really, really important that you please make sure your members understand that until they receive the letter that tells them they can start accessing the benefit, in some cases it's the first one, in some cases it's the second, that they don't try to access the benefit before then. Just from the standpoint of when we get the member selection, we oftentimes have to send information on the member to a vendor so that the vendor knows that this member is eligible for the program, or that they've completed or not completed the pre-certification process. We cannot offer the member the service until we've completed those processes. So the letter basically will is the members green flag to go ahead and start accessing their benefits. So please understand that, and if you can, please help us in setting that member's expectation appropriately. So this is the process they'll go through. If on that third step, if they does have to go through pre-certification, I believe it takes roughly 10 business days. It's called an org determination as determined by CMS. And so it takes roughly 10 business days for us to do that. And again, that member should be getting a letter when that process has been completed. So that also has to go through the mail for the member to get it. So 3 to 5 business days for the confirmation letter, and then potentially another 10 business days for pre-certification if that's what's required. Okay, so now I'm going to run through the 2021 essential benefits, essential extra benefits here. Again, remember there are 9 of them. They have not changed from last year, but I'll go through them just to review them with you guys anyway. So transportation, again, this is additional transportation to whatever they might have in their MSB. We give them up to 60 one-way trips to any plan-approved location. That includes going to their pharmacy. That includes Silver Sneakers locations. There is no pre-certification requirements here. We do ask that the member call and schedule their trip 48 business hours in advance, and there is a 60-mile limit each way on the trip. So please be aware of that and make sure your members understand that as well. Healthy meals, again, this was called healthy food deliveries previously. This is where we give the member up to 64 additional pre-cooked meals, medically tailored meals based upon a set of criteria. Now, to select this benefit does not require any pre-cert at that time. But when the member is ready to ask for meals and they call into member services, they'll be referred into the pre-cert team, which will have to validate either a post-discharge within the last 30 days, that the member has a body mass index of less than or equal of 18.5, which is sort of an underweight condition, a body mass index of greater than or equal to 25, which is an overweight condition, or an A1C greater than 9, which is a diabetic condition. So those will have to be validated to be eligible for the meals. If they have a post-discharge meal on their normal plan and they select healthy meals, they can layer both of them on a post-discharge event if they want more meals. There are some members who choose to do that. Personal home helper, this is where you have a personal care assistant that will come into a member's home and help the member with activities of daily living. Activities of daily living are things like dressing, eating, grooming, bathing, toileting, incontinence, mobility within the house, and things like that. The member this does require pre-certification. We do need to get information from their doctor that says that they need assistance with at least 2 activities of daily living in order to qualify the member for this. We give them up to about 124 hours in most plans per year. No more than 4 hours per day, up to 31 days is how that really breaks out. We work with a variety of agencies. After the member is certified for them, we connect the member with one of those agencies to help staff that. This is not a skilled nursing, in-home nursing benefit, just so that you know, these are personal care attendants. They're unskilled. They cannot help with medication other than to remind members that they need to take it. So they can't do any skilled nursing. It's all just sort of personal care type assistance. The assistive device benefit, this benefit was built to help members basically live more comfortably and more safely in their own home. Sometimes, members just want to stay in their home, but they need to be, their condition is such where they need some assistance. And what we're doing is we're offering about $500 per year to members in most plans. There's one, I think that's less than that. But up to $500 per year to purchase devices, things like grab rails, ADA toilet seats, transfer benches, bed rails for their beds so they don't fall out, reading devices, reaching devices, things like that, just so they can live more safely. We do this through our vendor Solutran and Walmart. You can't buy these items in stores. They have to be purchased online just because they're very unique items. But it's essentially the same vendor. And in fact, the member will actually get the same card. The one card, kind of like your ATM card, will work for both the assistive device and their OTC benefit in this particular case. And there are no pre-cert requirements here. The next benefit is Adult Day Center. This is another benefit. This was called Day Center Visits previously. It does require 2 activities of daily living that we have to certify the member needs. And in this particular case, what we'll do is we'll give them a day a week at a day center of their choice, so long as that day center is certified, licensed appropriately by the state. So whatever the state's licensing requirements are to operate an adult day center, that center must meet that, and we will check that for the safety and health of our members as well as our protection. The way this is set up, there is no network. It is set up on a direct member reimbursement program, a DMR. So the member would have to, we'll pay up to $80 per day, but the member has to submit for reimbursement from us. If the day center is willing to do this on the member's behalf and take the member out of the middle, that's a wonderful thing, and we can help accommodate that as well. And there'll be instructions with with our provider services team that can help the day center in setting that up. We also will provide transportation to and from the day center with the same vendor that we use for a normal transportation benefit. It does not take away from any of their normal transportation rides. This was specifically dedicated for this benefit. It's separate. They can't make other stops. It's just to and from the day center on the day of that they're actually accessing it, and there's no charge to the member for that. We get that directly billed to us. Again, 48-hour advance notice, business hour advance notice, and 60-mile one-way trip limit do apply. Okay, health and fitness tracker. This is the benefit that I told you is just absolutely taking off this year. We're excited to be offering it again next year. This is a three-part benefit. So no pre-cert requirement on it. What we're doing is we offer the member basically a fitness tracker device, Fitbit type device, and currently today we're using a Fitbit. Those things change as new models come and go, so we may not be in the future, but it's essentially one of those devices, and it will be a quality device that we'll be offering to our members. So they get that for no charge. They can get one of those every other year. But then we're also offering access to 2 online websites. One is a site called Walker Tracker, where the member can upload their steps from their Fitbit or tracking device. There'll be challenges and things to engage the member. And this is really to provide encouragement and coaching and advice on how to get moving and get walking and give them something to, give them some goals so that they can go after and do that. So we ask them to sign up for that. And then also, because the recent AARP article that I was reading about members, seniors who are not doing a whole lot during COVID, and they basically liken the brain to a muscle and it atrophies. So we also offer an online set of games that have been developed by neuroscientists to basically engage a member. And they're really exercises, but they come across as games. But these exercises basically help members with memory, focus, attention, and all the things that will help them on day-to-day living. So they automatically set themselves to the member's level, and then they help the member progress from there. So pretty neat 3-part benefit with Health and Fitness Tracker. And then the last 3 benefits, these are all going to have some pre-cert requirements under SSBCI, like we talked about, special supplemental benefits for the chronically ill. The first one is pest control. So if a member is got a chronic condition where the spread of germs, for example, in their home could put them at risk, they could qualify for this pest control benefit. And the standard benefit that we offer is a quarterly treatment of common household pests such as cockroaches, ants, mice, things like that. Bugs of various sorts, and they'll come in on a quarterly. Our vendor will come in on a quarterly basis and treat the member's home for that benefit. If in some cases we have an issue with the member has a significant issue with, say, bed bugs or whatnot, and again, a chronic condition could be tied to the issue of bed bugs, then that is something we can review, and we ask that up front the member ask for the one-time treatment. We can't offer both. It's either the quarterly treatment or the one-time treatment that we can offer for the member. Now, another piece to understand about this is where the member lives is very important to this pest control benefit. If the member is in an independent living center or condominiums or townhomes where the association or the management company is responsible for that those services, we can't offer that. So we have to defer to the management company there. So it has to be the member's own home. We have to be one that we can get in there and actually service that legally. The next benefit is Healthy Pantry. This was called Healthy Nutrition previously. Now, this is a benefit whereas we talked about healthy meals, where we offer pre-cooked, medically tailored meals for members. This benefit is really geared towards helping members make longer-term changes to their diet. So there's 2 parts to the benefit. One is, and again, for members with chronic condition, where we know that a change to their dietary practices will actually help their chronic condition. We will offer them monthly telephonic nutritional counseling sessions with our internal staff to help them identify where they want to focus on making some changes and then help them implement those changes. But then what we'll also do is we'll send them a monthly box of pantry staples, foods that's non-perishable, things like pouched or canned meats, spices, grains, things like that, as well as a bunch of everything that can be stored in your pantry as opposed to a refrigerator or a freezer is fair game. And what the goal is here is that we will be giving them examples of the foods that we're suggesting that they try, to help prompt both trial and adoption of those changes and help them to stick long term. That's the goal of what this benefit here is done. It's a monthly box of food, probably $35, $40 worth of food every month that we would send to the member. Again, it will also come with recipes and tips and tricks and other things to help members make those long-term dietary changes. And then the final benefit I want in the Essential Extras portfolio is service dog support. This is for members who have an ADA service dog. Now, there are other types of support animals, emotional support animals, even other types of therapy dogs. We cannot include those types of animals in this program. And what we do is we provide up to $500 for members towards support of that animal. So that includes the food, snacks, treats, bedding, grooming care, not the grooming itself, but things you could buy at Walmart, brushes and shampoos and flea shampoos and things like that. vests, leashes, all that kind of stuff. We use Solutran and Walmart in this partnership for this. And again, some of these items are available in store. Others are going to be only available online if they're more specialty for a service animal. And again, we have to know that the member does have an ADA service dog for this. One other thing is that this does not pay for the dog, vet bills for the dog, or actual grooming for the dog. It's just all the supplies and things like that to help support the animal. So that's the summary of our 2021 Essential Extras and changes to our supplemental benefits. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have questions, please contact your Anthem sales support representative, and I'm sure they'd be able to be willing to help you. And thank you very much, and we hope you have a great day.